So.
Title?
Whoever you are.
You're Mr. Radio.
No, I'm not.
Radio?
John Radio.
No. I'm Mopa Dean. I'm in a band called Armed and Hammered.
Do you consider yourself fun?
I think you would have to define those parameters. I think that's a very fluid sort of term for people to use, especially today. I don't know if I could even tell you what is or isn't punk. I know there are bands that were considered punk. I know there was a so-called punk scene and movement that started in New York, Toronto, and in London, UK around the same time. I don't know. I mean,
Like,
am I punk?
yeah.
That's I don't know. Yeah, sorry I can't give you a better answer than that,
No,
but
that's a good answer.
you know, I think if you asked me 20 years ago, I'd probably go, yeah. I think I consider myself more in the peripheral of things than what a punk is or isn't. I mean, you know, as humans, we have this overdriving urge, you know, genetically hardwired into us to categorize everything, right?
Yep.
We like to put parameters and boundaries around things. And, you know, I don't know. I mean, we used to talk about how terms specifically for music were sort of kind of irrelevant. Like, there's just music, right? But then, you know, someone wants to call something punk, or someone wants to call something goth, or metal, or black metal, or ska punk, or fucking post-punk, or post-emo, or post-hardcore, or post-punk post. Like, I personally, I really hate those definitions. I think we kind of need them, even though I hate them, because people need to know where to put things, right?
People need to know where to find things.
And to find things, sure, or to give things some sort of framing and structure. But, I mean, you know, it's like, what's jazz? Am I jazz? I mean, I grew up in classical music. Does that disqualify me from being punk?
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it's terms evolve too, right? So do I like punk things? Yeah. But, you know, a lot of people know things when they see it, but ask them to describe it and they can't,
Yeah.
right? So I think if someone says I'm a punk or I'm into punk rock, I'm okay with that. But, you know, I'm Mopa, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, outside of that, I'm not too sure really what I can tell you other than sort of like some genetic things or sexual preferences or foods that I like. But again, I don't know if that's going to disqualify me from, you know,
Sure.
I eat a lot of avocados. Is that punk? Like, I don't know, man.
I'm sorry, man.
You know, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, I drink a lot of coffee. Is that punk? I don't know, right? Like,
I mean,
you know,
stay up all
I don't drink that much booze anymore. Not because I don't want to, but, you know, because my body can't really deal with it anymore, right?
Yeah.
Is that not punk, or is that punk? I don't know, right? Ask,
to wear yourself
you know,
out.
ask Moby, right? Like, ask, I don't know, man. Ask Moby or ask, what's his face from Fear. I'm sure you'll get, you'll get 2 or 3 different answers, right? You know, I do remember though. It was about 1993, 94 that movie came out when punk broke.
Yeah.
Right?
When, oh my God, I know the name. It's the year that.
The year that punk broke, right?
Yeah.
I remember when that came out. I was like, "What?" Right? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, because it's like I'll read shit and like every like few years people will be like, it's over, it's gone, it's dead.
Well, that's what Crass was saying in the 70s and early 80s, right?
Yeah, it's like
So,
it doesn't exist anymore.
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of funny, right? I don't know what I am other than trying to exist and trying to figure shit out. Right? and I hope I don't do too much damage while I'm here for this mortal coil sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Mixed hardcore,
Yeah.
metal, like everything.
Yeah.
It's like
Did you talk to the guy? DOA.
Got it.
Yeah, he, I think, in terms of talking about 70s punk, he was right at the beginning. Like, he was playing in bands like 73. And here is the thing about East and West, right? West Coast used to go up north and south along the coast. And all the East bands, like, you know, they'd be like Toronto, Montreal, New York, Toronto, Montreal, right? You know? So you get very regional differences in a lot of things, right?
Yeah, I was talking to like a band from Montreal like today, and they were talking about how like their all ages scene is like really split between like genre.
Yeah.
Like, their punk kids and their hardcore kids are like always at each other's throats.
Yeah.
But they don't have like as big of a drug problem as like a lot of the all ages kids out here are doing.
Yeah.
But then like we have like mixed bills and people don't really care about genre, but like drugs are like kind of taken over a lot of like the 15, 18 year olds.
Well, drugs has always been a problem, man.
Yeah.
Like constantly and always, right?
Yeah.
It's part of the scene, right?
But you were saying like the BFGs and like all hanging out on like Horseshoe and like Queen West and everything, yeah? And
Well, the turf was the market,
okay, yeah, like Kensington.
right?
Right.
We would wander out,
Uh-huh.
you know. There was a while if you had a bunch of fucking goofs or BFG on anywhere on your coat, you couldn't sit down at any patios.
Really? Why? Like anywhere in Toronto just because you're fighting? Shit, okay.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, right. I remember there was one summer in particular, like, and it went on a very long time. Couldn't sit down at the not the Horseshoe, the Black Bull. It's gone now. There's a place called Peter Pan on Queen Street, and
I know that place, yeah.
okay, so across from there, that used to be the Horseshoe,
Yeah.
and that was sort of kind of like where the Queen Street Commandos and the bikers and the punkers would all sort of kind of meet and just fucking hate each other, you know, and there'd be like ridiculous like Western
Like
brawl,
war, yeah.
you know, like, you know, where guys playing the piano and there's bottles throwing and people hitting each other, right? Yeah, right, like, and that was common with all the shows too, right? Like some of the fights were ridiculous, like just, you know, who shows up to, they don't like this guy, or this guy ripped them off, or this guy stole something, or this guy's a closet Nazi, or, you know, like, right? And, you know, yeah, there was a lot of, you know, chains, hammers, you know, screwdrivers, shit like that.
Fighting dirty.
You want to call it dirty,
I'd call that dirty.
you know?
It's, you got a screwdriver, some guy doesn't have a screwdriver, you're fucked. Like,
Showing up to a gunfight with a knife, right?
I guess so, yeah.
I don't know,
It's very
right?
fair.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you could get your hands on this video, it was shot in and around CIUT when it used to be in a house called Underground Toronto, and it was put together by Japanese Much Music. And there's a whole thing in there where the idea is they're following around gig from gig, and so-called typical night in Toronto,
Okay.
and it starts at CIUT. Right, and then like they follow, like it ends up going to a goof gig, and it ends up going to a booze can, and right, you'll
Just like falling like uncut like a whole night.
yeah, you'll probably find a lot of stuff in there that you want to, yeah.
Cool. Okay, so yeah, because like I'm reading up on all this stuff like turfs and like violence and everything, and like the one thing I was kind of like figuring out, because the professor I was kind of like reporting all this stuff to,
Yeah.
told me to check out like the Crash and Burn,
Yeah.
and like
So the Crash and Burn, the guy before me, that would
Yeah.
be his time.
okay,
I'm
a little
after
later.
the crash. Yeah, I'm like about 5 to 8 years after Crash and Burn.
Okay.
But I did go to the Turning. Was it the Turning Point? Yeah, Turning Point used to be on Bloor here.
Yeah.
Where
It was like on the corner.
where the McDonald's is. Yeah, yeah. I went there a bunch of times. You go upstairs and yeah.
Cool. Because that was like the point that I was kind of like feeling out. That was like people were actually like kind of getting along for like a month.
What, in like the crash and burn days?
Yeah.
No.
No?
No.
Still no?
No, I mean, drugs, booze, who's jealous of who's working, who's not. It's, I don't think punk rock is as special or as unique as many people think it is in comparison to any other scene, right? You know, it's you got your elitists, you got your racists, you got your conservatives, you got your ultra left, you got your ultra right, you got your vegans, you got your right, you got every stripe you could think of. I mean, I remember one time reading through Maximum Rock and Roll, and they had an article on punks in the military, right?
Okay.
And actually, there was a lot of guys in the military who were in the scene that I remember, right? That was their job, right? That's, you know.
I mean, yeah, it's how you make money.
Right? So, like it or not, I mean, look at, you know, Waddy from The Exploited, right? He was in the Royal Marines.
Was he?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn, okay.
You know, yeah, it's not, you know, a lot, so I don't know, I mean, it's like any other scene. It's just...
Is there a reason you kind of got into it, though? Like, is there a reason, like, it was kind of punk and this kind of happened to you?
Why did I go there?
I guess so, because it's like, every scene has its, like, flavor, has its people, right? And it's like, it's, I guess it isn't really special how people get into one genre over another, but it's like, it is cool to see why people do get into this one.
Let me think. Hang on, let me just see where I am.
Bye-bye.
Boredom. I liked the music I was hearing. I liked the people that I was meeting. You know, that's, you know, I kind of grew up in a very conservative family. And, you know, I was always sort of kind of on the fringe of things, right? No one's fault per se, that's just the way stuff was. And I guess that's where I gravitated to, and I found that with a lot of people. Yeah, so that's, you know.
It's kind of like the outsiders that kind of end up in...
Kinda, yeah. Yeah. So that's, you know, nothing special or dramatic or, you know, no moments of John Lydon and a light coming to me or something like that, or, right?
Yeah.
I heard the music, I liked it, I liked the people, you know, I liked staying up all night, you know, and there was places to go that had that. So that's how I got there.
Because I read somewhere that they had like the drinking age was 21, then it dropped to 18, then it went back up to 19 at some point.
Yeah, I don't think anyone really cared about the drinking age. People just drank, right?
True.
You know, for the most part, I grew up as a young fellow, probably my teen years, up in North York. And I mean, you know, we'd get a 6-pack and drink at the streetcar, at the bus stop, waiting for the bus before we'd go to a show. Like, and you know, and if we didn't steal it from somewhere, we'd get someone who could look like they could go in and get it, right? So, yeah. But the drinking age, that was sort of a non sequitur. You know, it was like no one really. The only time that came into play was like all ages gigs versus not all ages gigs versus, you know, if you're in a band or something, or if you want to go to a show, you know, all ages show, or promoters not wanting to put on all ages shows and stuff. But really, I mean, people wanted to drink, they drank. People wanted to do drugs, they did drugs. People wanted to start shit, they did shit. Like it's, yeah.
There's not really any rules stopping it, but...
No.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're doing that with all ages now. It's like people are drinking, doing drugs, whatever, and we're trying to, like, drive venue it, but people do it anyway.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. But what's the point you're asking me about that though? Like, what is it that?
I guess it's like when were you like most actively going to shows? I guess.
My early 20s, right up to a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what kind of changes, I guess, have you seen? Like all ages gigs, not all ages gigs, like venues getting shut down, venues coming up, like.
What changes have I seen?
Yeah, is there a lot of fluctuation, or some places like more? I guess like the horseshoe places are more reliable than others.
Well, I think that's subjective to the individual who you would ask, right? You know, whether you ask someone who's in a band or someone who books a club or someone who's an outsider or what point of view they're looking at stuff. I mean, things change all the time, right? You know, it's a constant. There's not much you can do about that. There used to be a lot more clubs. You never used to have to pay to play. That was like, I hear about that now. Like that's bizarre.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, because that's the thing. It's like a friend of mine who I book with like a few shows and everything. We were talking to his dad because he was a promoter too, and he's like, why are you spending so much money to book like a bar for a band to play at? Because they just don't want us around anymore, I guess. No,
that's not true. Bars want bands regardless of their stripe or flavor, because bands bring in people and people drink, and that's where bars make money, right? And they just figured, well, you know, bands got to play, so we can make money charging them to, guess, rent the space for the night. You know, in the States, a lot of places you have to pay to play.
Yeah.
But that was one thing about Toronto for the longest time, like that just wasn't the case, and I don't understand. What I don't understand is why people just didn't get up and boycott it, like.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, where you're just like, it's okay, because we've tried to do like a bunch of outdoor shows and everything, and like that's the only like not pay a bar or anything to set up, and it's like you'll get shut down and fined the same amount of money for doing it in a park that you would be just paying for it legally at a bar.
Right.
Like I got a $300 ticket last summer for having a show at a Dufferin Grove when we did that.
Right.
And I'm like, now I got like a bylaw mark and $300 to pay, and I could have just lobbed it over to the bar near my house and had people do it and not get shut down.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, people have always been creative about stuff, right? Like people would, I mean, I think it's a lot more difficult now, but say going back 20 years ago, you know, people would, like whole bands would live in warehouses and they'd put on shows there and stuff, right?
I saw the whole thing about the BFG house, and I was like, we just don't, I don't know, a lot of people just don't do that anymore.
Well, it's a different sort of thing now, right? You know, so I mean, you can't get a warehouse anymore.
No.
Right? And I don't even know where you would get a warehouse now.
There were a bunch on Geary, but they're gentrifying them.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that's an area that I've watched really gentrify in a big way.
Yeah. Because I know there used to be like a basement that they hosted a few shows out of there, but it's like finished now, and it's got like industrial lighting and a sound system and a soundboard, and it's like $750 to book it for a day.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed. So one of the things I do with my show is I go over some listings. I look at listings, look at things that, you know, I'd probably like to go to this, so right? And I find that there's like a lot more shows are not being played in bars and clubs, right? There's like the cafeteria place.
Oh yeah.
Right, and then there's the St. Stephen's in the Field Church in the market.
Yeah, we hosted a few shows there last
Right,
week. Yeah.
and there's some sort of convenience store upstairs, right?
I'm doing one there in September, and it's just fully a convenience store.
As someone who's sort of more on the peripheral things and sort of kind of doing this again, I find that really interesting. What has made that shift, right? And
it's
you know,
cost mostly.
Yeah.
And like
I mean, there's
shipping-
still Seascape in places like that,
yeah.
right?
It's Seascape is still up. It's still kicking.
Yeah.
The owners have been like worried about it going under for a few years.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things have shifted to like there's like a really really big divide in like people who are straight edge and people who aren't.
There always has been.
Yeah. So
Right.
it's like there's just been like I guess more of a mindset shift to include like make everything all ages to make it more accessible and then like encourage like dry venues so then everyone can experience it even though like drinking and drugs have kind of always been a big part of it. People are trying to like clean it up, I guess.
Well, everyone's always been trying to clean up everything, right? But I don't know. Even the thing like making things more accessible or not, right? Like it's always been you showed up or you didn't show up.
Yeah.
Right? No one really cared about anything. And then, you know, I don't know. It's kind of, yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's a generational thing for me. Although I try to stay as open-minded and clear about it as possible.
That like the generational thing of like what the accessibility thing.
Well, no. I mean, just all of it. I mean, what's not accessible about a gig? I mean, you go,
True.
right?
I know.
You know, like we used to sneak into gigs, whether we were welcome or not, or, I guess, they didn't have issues with accessibility for mobility impaired people. So if you're in a wheelchair, you probably weren't going to a gig. Although I've seen gigs where they fucking just carried the guy in or the woman in because they wanted to see the show. So I guess it depends on your peers, right?
Yeah, because it's like you're talking about like the community unity thing, and it's like I totally agree with you. Like that doesn't really exist, and I don't think it probably has in the capacity that people try to.
No, there isn't. Ask actually. So part of that underground Toronto thing I was telling you about, there's a whole thing where they're filming a sort of group of like all the different factions of punk rock in Toronto kind of actually came together, right? Steve Perry's at it, I'm at it, guys from Random Killing are at it, guys from BFG are at it, a lot of the straight edge guys are at it, right? And, Steve was probably the most articulate and sort of sane person at it, basically saying, one thing that you can see is that there's all different people making up the scenes. The thing that was misfortunate was people weren't looking at the differences as strengths. They were looking at it for reasons not to like each other, which I could never understand then, and I can't understand now. I gotta jump on air. Give me a second.
Instead of going down to the pub, why not help CIUT FM during its spring funding drive? A little quid can go a long way, and can bring you great community radio.
Not punk rock as being the only show, but punk rock as being the door that opens up to the other side of music. Anyways, we'll talk more about that later. Let's talk about what we heard in the last little while. We started things off with the Undertones, formed in Derry, Northern Ireland in 1974 and around to 1983. They released 13 singles and 4 studio albums between 1978 and 1983 before the band broke up in 1983, citing musical differences. So from their 1979 release, The Undertones, we heard the Male Model. We followed it up with a band from Toronto, The Fits, who were active between 1977 and 1980. They formed on the western edge of Toronto, known as Etobicoke, and the gigs for them were far and few between and usually known for a fair bit of violence. They were kind of like the outsiders in the Toronto punk scene, and with their lone 1979 7-inch arriving in the shops unfashionably late as well. From their 1979 release, Board of Education, we heard Just Lust. And as we all know, Richard Hell was in town recently, and so we threw some in there from Richard Hell and the Voivods, formed in New York City in 1976 and fronted by Richard Hell. Early versions of the song we heard was sort of penned and worked out as demos at the time Richard Hell was playing with Television and even the Heartbreakers, the earliest version going back to about 1974. In fact, the song that we played, Malcolm McLaren claimed that the Sex Pistols song Pretty Vacant was directly inspired by none other than Blank Generation. So we heard the title track from the 7-inch from 1977. From there we went a little bit back in time and we heard from the Standells, a Los Angeles-based 1960s garage rock band who had been referred to as the punk band of the 60s and are said to have inspired groups like the Sex Pistols and the Ramones. They did a cover of Hey Joe, which most people know from either Nick Cave or more particularly Jimi Hendrix. But Hey Joe was actually written by Nella Miller, an American folk singer-songwriter and prominent figure in the 1960s Greenwich Village folk scene. Her boyfriend Billy Roberts took Miller's exact melody and chord structure and copyrighted it, and he got the credit. So from the 1966 release Dirty Water, we heard Hair Joe. We followed that up with Television, an American band formed in New York City in 1973, an early fixture of the CBGB's in 1970s New York scene. We heard from their 1977 release Marquee Moon. We heard Friction. From there, we came back to Canada and Toronto, more particularly to hear from the Young Lions, an early Canadian hardcore band from Toronto that was active in the 1980s, known for their support for anti-racist causes. From a 2009 release, 1982 to 1984 from the Vaults, we heard Young America. From there we went over back to the UK and we heard from the Pogues, an English Celtic punk band, if you want to call it that, formed in King's Cross, London in 1982, known for their mixture of traditional Irish songs. And even one time Joe Strummer kind of fronted and played with them after they sacked their singer Shane MacGowan in 1991. We heard from the 12-inch single Haunted, which was used in the movie Sid and Nancy. We heard the B-side of that, Hot Dogs With Everything. And then we came back to Ontario, particularly Brantford, where we heard from Gag Order, formed in 2010, featuring ex-members of Drunken Anger, Psychosomatic, No Reason, and the Cluster Bombs. In April, actually, of just past year, or this year particularly, they recorded a session for CIUT's Equalizing Distort as part of their band sessions, and we heard from their 2013 release No Use and Inch. We heard No Use. Staying in the Ontario area, we heard from Blackout, a hybrid of Canadian punk and metal bands, including members of the Nasties, Maximum Rock and Roll, Dirty Bird, and The Rotten. We heard from their 2024 EP, Blackout, we heard LCS. We also heard from a band from Montreal called Scrap. From their 2014 release, Une Nuit sur le Canada et l'Alger, and we heard Et tu tête. And from there we went down to Los Angeles. They're a very new band, although they have been around the scene for a while in LA, clearly showing the influences of bands like Jesus and Mary Chain and Joy Division, and kind of highlighting the void between distortion and melody. From their 2026 release, What Happens in the Dark, we heard the title track from Black Market Heart. From there, we went up north to Victoria, BC to hear from Dirt Nap. These guys play like a high-speed ska punk mixture. Lyrics about struggling of living poor and dealing with addiction and late-stage capitalism. So we heard from their contribution to the most recent version of Can Punk Volume 5. We heard Final, and we ended things off with Luckless from Toronto, kind of a dark, heavy, fuzz-soaked, throat-scratching band from their latest release, I Promise to Be Good EP. We heard Red Alert. So from there, let's check out what's going on this week. So this week we kick off, or actually next week, starting Monday at 6 p.m., our Real Roots Radio Spring Funding Drive, May 25th till May 31st. And we want you to help us to continue bring you original, groundbreaking, and cutting-edge radio music that's advertising free, uncorporate, and curated by programmers who are like seriously dedicated to bring you the non-commercial music, information, and discovery like no other media outlet can. In fact, we used to say back in the day, where you can hear the other 90% of the music that the record labels and all the big corporations don't want you to hear. So as always, help us help you and help us so we can continue to bring you the best radio in the GTA 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and these days around the world on www.ciut.fm. In fact, you don't even have to wait till Funding Drive. Head over to our website right now, look for the big blue donate button, and give till it hurts. So tonight, May 22nd, 7:30 at the Garrison, 1197 Dundas Street West. We got Sacrifice from Japan, not the local Sacrifice. Sacrifice from Japan, Public Acid, Absolute Corporalith, Zeal. Tickets available at Dice FM. At 8 p.m., Ooey Gooey's in Hamilton, which is 107 George Street. We have Desiccate, Dregs, Old Weary, and Girl Diner. That's $15. Pay what you can. 8 p.m., they're actually 8:30 at The Block, which is 395 John Street in Burlington. You got Scarface, the Ska Catherines, and Rat Grenade. That's $15. Tomorrow night at 7 p.m. at St. Stephen's in the Fields Church, 103 Belleville Avenue in Kensington Market. We have Piper Maru EP release, $20, and no one's turned away for lack of funds. 7:30 tomorrow night at 347 Kill Street, which is Seascape. We got Strong Together, a benefit for people of Ukraine, featuring The Screwed, who are headlining Artificial Dissemination, Last Drag, and Ibel. Pre-sale is $15 to $20 at the door, and this is sponsored by CIUT. Also, Brew Wizards over in Oshawa 74 Salina Street. We've got Carl Scape, Sega Return, The Console, Zemo Green, and Julie Nolan. Snow cover as always, 19 plus. Sunday at 1 p.m. at Dead Dog Records, which is 568 Church Street. Got Try This at Home, Life Skills, and Big Evil, all ages, no cover. Sunday at 8:30 at the Bovine Sex Club, 542 Queen Street West. We got Darla, Vita, Domicile, Hopperfly, $10 advance, $15 at the door, 19 plus. And again, kicking off Monday, 6 p.m. it's the CIUT Real Roots Spring Funding Drive. Going on till May 31st. So remember, help us help you. Show your love. Show all the staff and programmers and volunteers here who bring you the best radio in the city 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so we can, in turn, support our brothers and sisters in bands and social causes, the voice of the voiceless, all those things that you know happen to be true. So remember, head over to our website at www.ciut.fm and look for the big blue donate button. Show your love and your support to your radio station, 89.5 FM, CIUT. And remember, support your local scene and support your local community radio station. Let's carry on with some more music on Unknown Pleasures, 89.5 FM, CIUT. You know, I'm like an old dog here, right?
It's super even. You've got like a really good tone to it.
Well, thank you.
It's like you've been doing this forever.
Well, yeah. You know, I left it for a long time. Yeah, I just came back the last 4 years. Okay. Right? So I was the program director here till 1999, 2000. Shit. Okay. Then I left and went and got a couple degrees, which, you know, only took me 30 years to pay them off. Yep. Right?
Yeah.
You know, that was kind of a pain, but, and so now I'm back. You know, I hope it makes a difference. I mean, that's my main thing, right?
Yeah.
You know, just give me a second here.
I'll do.
Oh, you fucking idiot. Anyways, I think part of the real reason why I'm here is so that, you know, help guys like Lalo here to get more involved. You know, I can't be doing this forever, and one of these days I want to be sitting with my cats listening to hear what he's up to, you know?
I'm working on it. I'm working on the show. You're going to be around the corner forever.
Yeah, something like that.
The hardcore hotline was like late 80s, you were saying.
Yeah.
How long was it active for, do you know?
I think for about 4 or 5 years.
Oh, wow.
They used to do like benefits for it and stuff too, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it was really cool.
And it was just like a couple guys with like...
Yeah, it was. I don't, you know, again, Steve would probably know the guys better than me. I remember the guys who used to run it. I don't remember their names, and I didn't know them all that well. But yeah, I mean, you know, they made a point of knowing all the bands and stuff, and yeah, you just call in, say my gig is happening, and people could call in to find out what gigs were happening, and cool. Yeah, it was really cool. It was a great idea. Yeah. Yeah.
That's really sick. I guess that's what they're kind of trying to do, like the just spreadsheet. Yeah, it's like it shows like
Well,
how much it is, pay what you can, where it is.
It's the analog version of Ask a Punk, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's something to be said to like going down to your local record store on the weekend with your friends with like, you know, maybe the $20 or $30 you have earned from that week, you know, looking for your records or stuff you heard on like your local campus radio station, right? I mean, my friends always used to do that, you know, going through, checking stuff out. Someone going, oh, I know you'd like this. Or you walk into a record store and you hear that band. It's like, who the fuck is this? This is amazing, right? I used to, and this was maybe the early 90s, I used to go to Montreal once a month to just shop in the stores there because the record stores were so much better. There used to be this one called Dutchies, and it was fucking off the scale, man. Every time I walked in there, I would find a new band, hear a new band. You know, I mean, Montreal was always like a unique and pretty cool place, and a lot of really cool bands came out of Montreal, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's like the new one that we played on around the corner a few weeks ago, Truck Violence, and they're crazy. They're like huge all ages, like punk noise kind of stuff, and they're crazy. They got banjo over top of like a droning like noise thing, and they're insane. And they're getting really big out of Montreal. But it's like, I guess it always kind of feels like that Toronto is like, Toronto's got like a weird energy to it.
Yeah, it does. And it always has, even though it was, even from the 60s, a very musical city. You know, I mean, back in the sort of kind of like cafe days in, what's Yorkville now, right? Like,
yeah, it used to be like a hippie place.
Yeah, but you could go through there and you'd like, you know, Jimi Hendrix would come up here because he could, you know, a lot of people didn't know him, and he could like play in a club or just hang out. Or there's stories about Jim Morrison, or, you know, you walk in there, there's Joni Mitchell playing with someone else or something, or Bruce Cockburn, right? Like, I mean, it was kind of the sign of the times, but you know, there's always been a long history of Toronto music. There was this documentary that came out, I think, a year or two ago, about all the Jamaican musicians coming here in the early 70s, and how it sort of developed and grew like a huge Jamaican music scene, reggae scene in Toronto, right?
Yeah.
You know, I can't remember what it was called, but I went to it. It was really good. Like,
You know, that sounds really cool.
did you see that movie? Yeah, it's really cool.
Damn. Yeah, because it's like, I don't know, I've started like looking into like the kind of, there's the Toronto music experience, and they kind of keep like a map landmark of everything around, and they did like an exhibition like south of Laurent Spadina of like the Afro wave that was kind of in Toronto in like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
And like how so much of like big music that comes out of Toronto is just like people who have kind of like taken influence from like the blues and reggae, and kind of just,
Well, I mean,
it's always kind of how it is.
all rock and roll comes from blues, right?
Exactly.
Reggae is its own music that developed in its own way from, I think it's called Jamaican Minto, I think is the traditional music of Jamaica. And that's where it comes out of. But it was these guys in Jamaica listening to their AM radios, picking up American stations, and the crossover influence, right? But, I mean, there's no blues, there's no rock and roll, right? There's no blues, there's no reggae, there's no punk rock, right? Like,
Yeah.
right? I mean, there's always influences, there's always other people inspiring other people to do other things, make things their own. I don't have a problem with that, as long as they give props and credit
Yeah.
to, you know, where it came from.
Yeah, because that's kind of why I get really pissed off when like people are talking about punk rock, and like you're even saying like the anti-racism association, and it's like you're doing this
The
whole
anti-racist
thing.
action.
Yes,
Yeah.
anti-racist action.
Yeah.
Sorry, and it's like doing this whole thing in the sake of whatever, but it's like you shouldn't even really need this kind of space when it's.
Well, you needed it because, you know, the scene was getting infiltrated by racists and skinheads. And I mean, this isn't nothing new, right?
No.
You go back to the UK in the early mid-70s. I mean, that's where the whole idea of Rock Against Racism as shows started, right? Which was all a reaction to fucking Eric Clapton and some of the shit that he was saying, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny, as they were doing the Rock Against Racism, there was this thing coming up that was trying to take hold called Rock Against Communism, which was all the fucking skinheads. With, this was one of their things saying, we're actually anti-communists.
Right.
That's why we're this or that, which is, it's a load of shit, right?
Everyone tries to hide what they're actually doing.
Right. So they tried doing that. So, that was also a response to people trying to infiltrate the punk rock scene then. You look at bands like even some of the early sort of kind of like people who would call Oi bands like Angelic Upstarts or Sham 69. They weren't racist bands, but Skins were showing up and trying to infiltrate the scene. And, even bands like The Ruts, this stuff was happening. And all those guys were all very anti-racist, right? And a lot of them would play these shows. And where I'm going with this is that things like the ARA developed because there are always people who are trying to co-opt these scenes. And, when we're talking about racism, sexism, homophobia, right? I mean, these scenes start and no one gives a fuck where you come from or who you are, provided that you're not a Nazi. No one cares, right? And then these fucking idiots start showing up and, they either start to either try to co-op or claim or say, or they bring their buddies. Next thing you know, some guy's getting thrown out of a gig because he's gay or these guys don't like what this band is singing about because they're being vegan or straight edge, so they go and fucking beat them up or something. So that's why things like the ARA or even groups or organizations that organize to sort of push back against these groups and people, they happen, but they're also important, right? Like, why would you want a bunch of Nazis or a bunch of right-wing Christian ideologists to take over your scene, right? Like, that's why a lot of these people gravitate towards these scenes to get away from those things, right?
Yeah, because it's like you're on the outside of things you want a place to hang out. It sucks because it's like people who actually care and people who actually know where all this stuff comes from. It's like, no shit, you're not going to be racist or sexist or homophobic. That's like the whole point. But then all these fucks come in and do all that stuff.
Yeah, well, I also think that happens in every scene, right?
Yeah.
It's not just punk rock or rock and roll or, I'm sure it happens. Well, I know it happens like in sort of like a lot of stuff in like the industrial scenes and stuff like that, right? There was a lot of that in the metal scene, and the metal scene getting infiltrated with like people who are like in the sort of deep black metal scene who are like fucking either racist or fucking burning down churches or murdering people or fucking think that Christian right, white or Viking shit, like just,
Yeah, like I can't roll my eyes harder.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel the same.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess it's like knowing the history and everything. But we're also looking at like, because so you worked at CIUT for like a long while.
Yeah.
How do you kind of keep, I guess like an archive, like how do you keep everything kind of, you bro's laughing at me already.
No, keep going.
It's like, how do you keep things kind of straight when there's so much?
Keep things kind of straight?
Yeah. It's
what do you mean?
Like keep track of like music and bands and like keep a record of all this stuff when there's so much and you've been doing it for so long.
I talk to people for ideas. I look up stuff on the internet to put my show together, for example. And I think most of the programmers that you talk to here will basically tell you the same thing. I do a 2-hour show. It takes me about 8 hours to put it together. And I don't even do that much of a script. I just give little things to sort of kind of, prompt my memory and ad-lib what I'm talking about. So a lot of it's research. A lot of it's going down rabbit holes. I'll look up something about one band and I'll go, oh, this guy played in this band and this guy thinks this is that. And, I'll just keep clicking on the links until I get to the last link. Or this guy produced this band and did this. I don't know. I guess it's liking music and it's liking doing the research and it's liking the history of it and watching it evolve, right? So do I remember everything? Absolutely not, right? Do I know everything? Absolutely not, right? When I went to university, probably the one major thing I learned is that I don't know much, right? And one of the things that I do is that I keep a running list of everything I play every show. So if, let's say I want to go play Crass, which is one of my favorite bands, right? I will go through my list and I'll look at the last time I played Crass, what album, what song, because it's a lot of people fall into the trap of just playing their favorite songs or playing, right? And to me, that's
not the point.
That's not the point, right? Yeah. You know, so that's part of how I do it. I got a lot of music at home, right?
Do you have your own like collection that you kind of also pull from?
Oh, my show is probably about half of my show is from a collection, and half of it's from people sending me stuff, right? So the station gets sent music. Individual programmers at the station get sent music. We send each other music, right? You know, these guys will come in and go, you know, Mopa, have you heard this band and shit, right?
I've had some bands I've been meaning to send you.
Yeah, right? You know, Steve Perry, he'll send me a band. I'll send him some new stuff. There's people I know from other bands that send me their stuff, right? You know, everybody wants their band played, but everybody wants to share their band. And, you know, it's kind of funny because they talk about, you know, they want their music played, but at the same time, if those bands weren't around to contribute, the station wouldn't have anything to play, because that's part of the mandate of community radio, supporting local bands and bands that don't get access, right? These bands that I'm playing here, none of them will get played in commercial radio, and I hope they don't, right?
Because it kind of makes this space unique. But
oh, absolutely, right? It gives them a place to do their thing and gives us a place to do stuff. But, you know, I think it's really cool that, like, who's this playing right now? This is, I think, this is Drive Like Jehu, right? So before that, I played a band called Upchuck, right? From San Diego? No, from Georgia, right? None of those bands are going to get played, but I can play them,
yeah,
right? And that's exactly what I want to do, right? So I think that's drive to be able to present some of it, and to the enjoyment I get out of discovering it and listening to it, and in some respects sharing it, allows me to sort of kind of keep tabs on things. So do I remember all of it? No. Do I know all of it? No. But I do things like keep lists, and, you know, we all talk to each other and help each other out, and that's one way we do things. Yeah. So that's how most programmers and people who are into music into a place like this do that, right? Yeah.
I thought you were going to talk about how we started recently archiving the stuff here.
I'm not even going to go there, dude.
What?
That's why I was laughing.
How did you start archiving stuff recently?
We just recently started archiving stuff. I think I met the guy who did it the other day.
Like, what do you mean?
There's a guy who, like, set up the computer, and we have a bunch
Sam?
Yeah, Sam.
Yeah.
Sam, he set up the computer. We have a whole bunch of CDs. I think, what he set it up, like, 2 years ago? I'm like, hi. Hello. Hi, I'm back.
Alright, so you started archiving things?
Yeah, they started, not me. The radio station started archiving stuff here recently.
How?
This guy Sam, he, like, set up a program to get us...
Like a computer program, or like a checklist, or analog digital?
You guys can keep talking, but I got to jump on the air in a second. And I don't care if you guys talk in the background. That's cool.
Okay. Swing back. Wait. Oh. It's right, I don't even have to, like, yell, because the mic is here. I can just, like, shoopity bop and bat up.
Monday, May 25th to May 31st. Our goal
Yeah, it's like...
$1,000, and we'd love for you to contribute to keep community-driven radio alive and growing on CIUT.
Yeah, I don't fully know what Sam actually did. You'd have to, like, we could try and catch him one day. But, like, you know, the city, this radio station has a whole bunch of CDs. Like, you see them behind you. There's a whole bunch of CDs. There's a whole bunch of CDs. There's a whole bunch of vinyls. There's a whole bunch of, like, old recorded shows. And so
Welcome.
we, like, started up a project to, like, actually digitize them so we can have them somewhere more than just right there.
Jesus Peace. We'll talk about them in a second.
don't know if it's going to
We
be
started things
online,
off at
but
the
it will
top
be
of the
accessible
hour,
here at the
or
radio
bottom of
station,
the last
which is
hour,
cool.
A band called Volanonka. They're based in Athens, Greece, forming a sound of kind of neurotic melodies, just posed with heavy bursts of loosely called noise. From their
Everyone's got the
latest
pod
release,
beam.
Staycation,
I
we
think
heard
everyone
God
has the
Life.
pod beam. I don't know when we started doing the pod beam and
Followed
stuff.
that with another band from
But,
St. John's,
like,
New Brunswick.
Yeah, I think everybody's
Bands
doing
called
it,
ER and the Other.
and it like depends on
They're a
each
duo of
individual
cousins, Meldstone
programmer,
and Rock.
like when they upload it.
And
I think most people do it within like a week.
sounds from their
But like,
2015 release,
yeah,
ER.
then they're just up there, and you can like go listen, and like
Followed
that's
that with
another
a band called
archive
Lushclot
that
from
we
the
have.
Canadian West Coast metal scene. From Edmonton, Alberta, by guitarist Tom Curd of the Wolf Note band, featuring his own brand of DC-inspired punk.
Yeah, I mean, okay, like
from his
at the
latest
radio
release,
station, we have
Melee
this
Lights,
music log thing that we have to do for each program,
Tripwire.
where you have to like go in there and be like, hey, here's
followed
every
that
song
with
that we
another band.
played, here's for how
This
long.
one from
And like
Vancouver,
that's also
bands
really
called
helpful
Raven,
for like the
members of
archiving of
Zimmer's
the
Whole
music,
Franges of Blood
right?
and Revocation,
And like
drawing inspirations from
I
bands
think that's especially nice because like sometimes programs will like play songs that are unreleased currently.
And they just put out this
So like
release.
yeah, the
This
log
is the way
the log is
we
for
heard
like
the title
legal
track.
stuff or like radio station
Great
stuff,
band.
but it is also very helpful for the
latest
archiving.
release. We followed that up with a band, an African-American female-fronted punk band from Atlanta, Georgia, formed in 2018. They are definitely noted for their energetic
Sam set up
live
the
performances
program,
and politically
but like
charged
we
lyrics.
have a
Showed
host of
band called
volunteers
Upchuck,
who like
and from
come
their
in,
2022 release, Sense
and
Yourself,
just,
is the
like,
title track.
who go in
From them,
there
we
and
went over
like
to San
will
Diego
do the
to hear
archiving
Drive
work.
Like
They'll
Jehu,
listen. They'll
an
be like,
American
okay,
band,
so it's this band
active
playing
from
this
1990
song,
to 1995,
this genre at this
from
time.
2014 to 2016.
We just put it in.
They cited influence.
You could join if you wanted.
Categories, Slint, Sonic Youth, and
You could. Do you want to
of course,
support your
bands
local
such as
radio
Noise.
station?
They were characterized by unusual sound, structure, intricate guitar playing, and they were sort of kind of like the precursors to the whole screamo emo thing. The cut we heard was from.
I think I've been here. Yeah, it's summer again. I've been here about a year now.
To Vegas,
Like,
and we followed that up with Jesus Piece from,
I've been actually mainly
Philadelphia,
helping
Pennsylvania,
with
formed in
Live from Studio
2015,
2.
and from their second and final studio
Because
album.
that's
So
the
Unknown,
show I
was
walked
released
in
in
on a bit before the
2023,
summer,
followed
and
up with a new EP
that
in
show is just we're
2024.
bringing in local bands, local
We
acts.
heard from their 2015
We're interviewing
release,
them,
the EP,
and then we're playing them live on the air.
EP, we heard Creed,
It's great.
Conjure,
I've been getting to interview more people recently, getting to bring in my own bands. It's been wicked.
Aurora.
But
This is a music producer from
I brought in 2 so
San
far. I brought in
Francisco.
Gaijin
He uses
Smash,
instruments from his Punjabi heritage,
which is like,
mixed with
how would I
industrial
describe them? I
metal
describe them as like
and other genres
they're
of
like a
music.
Japanese dance punk
Now he
band.
shifted to more
They're
like
so
a dub
fun.
sort of thing.
They're
In
so cool.
2012,
I don't know if I
started
can
a radio
swear.
show
They're so freaking cool.
called Sura Dub Radio in Berkeley, California's KPFA, 94.1 FM radio.
And
They're actually
then
California's
the
largest
other
independent
band I
station. You
brought,
can
which
check
more
it out there if
recently,
you wanna
was I brought in
hear him live
BB and
there.
Una.
From his 2024 release.
They're
from
so
Brooklyn
great.
to
Oh my
to
god.
SF, we heard.
I describe them
Dub.
as like
And if you're
surf,
just joining us, this is CIUT
surf rock, post rock
FM. I'm your host, Mopa.
thing.
This is Unknown
Yeah,
Pleasures.
they're so
I'll be
cool.
here
I
at
fucking
6
love
p.m.
them. They've got a phenomenal sound. But yeah, I interviewed them recently,
I'll tell you
and
once again,
they're
we got our
lovely.
funding drive
Their
starting
music
Monday morning.
continues to bang.
So be there, be square, and help us out. Help us help you, bringing you great live tunes, sounds, music, ideas, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah. So,
Let's carry on with some more music.
yes.
On Unknown Pleasures.
That lives on YouTube. Our goat Henry has been keeping it up with all the cameras and the recordings and the audio editing to get that shit rocking and on the air. Yup.
That's so sick. We gotta drop in on one of your sessions.
Yeah, dude.
Those are Thursdays, aren't they?
No, those ones we air Tuesdays, but we've been pre-recording a lot of them. So
Dude, we kind of just have to live at this stage.
there's
We kind of just have to be here.
a lot of cool stuff.
It's fucking awesome. That's so sick. That's kind of everything that I want to talk about. You got anything? Just like football.
Kind of stole your spot a bit.
No,
sorry.
go for it, man. I just want to see if there's someone here.
Alright. What's your name?
No.
My name is Lilo. I have a real name. It's Elijah Miller, but I go by Lilo. I think by my very specific standard of punk, which is moving with radical love, hell yeah.
That's really sick. That's a good way to think about it, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving a little pump. Sweet. Alright.
Can I please you do spell your name?
Yeah.
Letters so we have it.
Yeah. Mopa Dean. It's phonetic.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're very
any
welcome.
titles like to be referred to as? Radio host.
The great
thing.
awesome. If we're like putting this
Maybe punk. I don't know.
I think we have a no for that.
I think in the context of what you're doing,
Yeah.
you can see I'm the singer from Armed and Hammered. But you know, I just,
Some unknown players.
yeah, man, I'm just Mopa, right? Like,
Sure.
you know, I like animals, right? There,
Yeah.
you can say that. Yeah.
Sweet. I'm putting that as your tagline. Mopa likes animals.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, you guys are welcome.